I found an adult toy in my wife's car. Not mine. We hadn't touched one in years. I didn't argue, didn't scream. I just coated it in chili oil. When she and her boss returned from their conference screaming in pain, I thought that was the climax. But it was just the opening scene. Because what happened next shattered everything I thought I knew about revenge. The whole mess started on a Tuesday morning, when Linda asked me to move her car from the driveway. "Keys are on the counter," she called from upstairs, probably putting on another one of those expensive outfits I'd been paying for without question. That's when I saw it. Wedged between the passenger seat and console, a bright purple thing that definitely wasn't from our bedroom. My hands shook as I picked it up, not from anger, but from the sudden clarity that hit me like a freight train. See, I'm not the kind of guy who goes through his wife's stuff. I fix air conditioners for a living, come home tired, watch TV, and mind my own business. But holding that thing, everything clicked into place. The late nights at the office, the new lingerie receipts I'd seen crumpled in her purse, the way she'd started pronouncing my name like it tasted bad. "Tom," she'd say, like she was spitting out spoiled milk. I walked back into the house, grabbed the bottle of ghost pepper sauce from our kitchen cabinet, the stuff I used for wing nights that made grown men cry, and went back to her car. 5 minutes later, that toy was properly seasoned and back where I found it. Then I waited. Linda came downstairs, looking like she'd stepped off a magazine cover. Black dress that cost more than my monthly truck payment. Heels that clicked against our tile floor like a countdown timer. "Don't wait up," she said, not even looking at me. "The conference might run late." Conference, right. At the Marriott downtown where her boss Derek had been booking rooms every other week. I'd seen the credit card statements. "Sure thing, honey," I said, giving her my best supportive husband smile. "Hope it's productive." She left in a cloud of expensive perfume, and I settled in with a beer to wait for the fireworks. It took exactly 2 hours and 17 minutes. The screaming started before Linda even got out of her car, high-pitched wails that had Mrs. Patterson from next door peeking through her blinds. Derek stumbled out of the passenger side, clutching himself and hopping around like he was doing some kind of bizarre mating dance. "Water!" Linda shrieked, fumbling with her keys. "Get water!" I opened the front door with perfect timing, holding a glass of ice water like I'd been expecting them. "Everything okay out here?" I asked, the picture of concerned confusion. Derek's face was red as a stop sign, tears streaming down his cheeks. His expensive suit was wrinkled, his perfectly styled hair a mess. Linda grabbed the water and poured it down the front of her dress, which did absolutely nothing to help her situation. She couldn't even form words, just pointed at her car like it had personally wronged her. "Oh my," I said, fighting to keep my voice level. "Looks like you two had quite an eventful conference." Mrs. Patterson had come outside now, along with the Johnsons from across the street. Nothing drew a crowd like watching successful people lose their dignity in public. "Tom, call an ambulance," Linda gasped, still clutching herself. "For what exactly?" I asked. "Food poisoning? Allergic reaction to something you shouldn't have been playing with?" The look on her face was worth every penny of the hot sauce. Pure panic, mixed with the dawning realization that I knew exactly what had happened. Derek finally managed to speak. "Your wife, we need a hospital." "Well, Derek, maybe you should have thought about that before you decided to have your conference in Linda's front seat." I took a sip of my beer, savoring the moment, unless that's standard corporate procedure these days. Hard to keep up with modern business practices. Linda's eyes went wide. She knew. She knew that I knew, and she knew that half the neighborhood was now watching her boss hop around in agony while she tried to explain why they'd both been intimate with something covered in ghost pepper oil. "We should talk inside," she said weakly. "Oh, I don't think so," I replied. "This is the most entertaining conference recap I've ever witnessed. Please, continue." That's when Derek made his first mistake. Well, his second mistake. The first was thinking he could disrespect me in my own home. The second was opening his mouth. "Look, Tom, this isn't what it looks like." I laughed. Actually laughed out loud, which made Mrs. Patterson gasp. "Derek, my friend, it looks like you and my wife just had an intimate encounter with some seriously spicy seasoning. And honestly, that's exactly what it is." Linda tried to take control of the situation. "Tom, you're being ridiculous. We were just what? Just using marital aids in my driveway? Just having a conference that required adult toys? Just humiliating me while the whole neighborhood watches?" The crowd was growing. The Hendersons had joined the Johnsons, and I could see more curtains twitching in windows up and down the street. "You're crazy," Linda hissed, but her voice cracked. "Crazy like a ghost pepper," I said, raising my beer in a toast. "Here's to honest communication and transparent business practices." Derek was still in too much pain to contribute much, but I could see the wheels turning in his head. He was probably calculating damage control, thinking about how to spin this at the office tomorrow. Good luck with that. "Tom, please," Linda begged. "Can we just go inside and discuss this like adults?" "Adults don't sneak around behind their spouse's back," I said. "Adults don't lie about conferences while they're actually having affairs in the family car. Adults definitely don't bring home toys for their secret boyfriend while their husband pays the bills." She flinched at every word like I was slapping her with them. "And adults," I continued, "certainly don't expect their betrayed spouse to provide first aid when their extracurricular activities go wrong." Derek had managed to compose himself enough to stand upright. "Tom, I think we need to talk about this situation professionally." Professionally? I couldn't help myself. I started laughing again, harder this time. "Derek, you just spent the evening getting intimate with ghost pepper sauce in my wife's car. I don't think there's anything professional about your situation right now." That's when Linda played her final card, the one I'd been waiting for. "Tom, you don't understand. Derek and I, we're in love." The neighborhood went silent. Even the crickets seemed to pause. "In love," I repeated slowly. "Well, isn't that romantic? Nothing says true love like screaming in agony in someone else's driveway." Derek straightened his tie, trying to regain some dignity. "Tom, Linda and I have developed feelings for each other. We were trying to figure out the best way to tell you." "By seasoning adult toys with ghost pepper? That's certainly creative communication." Linda stepped closer, and I could see she was switching to manipulation mode. The same voice she used when she wanted something expensive. "Tom, honey, I know this is hard to understand, but Derek and I, we connect on a level that you and I never could. He appreciates my ambition, my drive. He sees me as an equal partner. An equal partner in screaming fits, apparently. Don't be crude." "Crude?" I set down my beer and looked at both of them. "Linda, you brought another man's toy into our marriage bed, carried it around in the car I pay for, and got caught because you couldn't even wait to get to a hotel room. But I'm being crude." Derek cleared his throat. "Tom, we're all adults here. These things happen. Marriages change. People grow apart. We should handle this maturely." "Maturely," I said. "You mean like mature adults who use ghost pepper oil as personal lubricant?" The crowd was loving this. Mrs. Patterson had actually brought out a folding chair. Linda's face was cycling through emotions like a slot machine. Embarrassment, anger, desperation, and something else. Something that looked like fear. "Tom, you can't tell people about this. My job, my reputation." "Your reputation," I interrupted. "Linda, your reputation is currently hopping around in our driveway covered in ghost pepper residue. I think that ship has sailed." Derek tried a different approach. "Look, Tom, I know this is difficult, but Linda and I care about each other. We didn't plan for this to happen." "Oh, it just happened? The toy just happened to appear in her car? The hotel reservations just happened to book themselves? The lingerie just happened to charge itself to our credit card?" Linda's face went white. "You've been checking our statements?" "Linda, I pay the bills. Of course I see the statements. Did you think the lingerie fairy was funding your affair?" That's when Derek made his third mistake. He got angry. "All right, Tom, that's enough. You're embarrassing Linda and making this harder than it needs to be. We're trying to be honest with you here." "Honest?" I stepped toward him and he actually backed up. "Derek, you've been having an affair with my wife for months, using my money to pay for hotel rooms and toys, and you call this honest? It's not like your marriage was working anyway," he snapped. "Linda told me how you treat her, how you never appreciate her, how you just want her to be some housewife while she has real ambitions." The neighborhood held its breath. "Is that right?" I asked, my voice dropping low. "Linda told you I don't appreciate her?" Derek nodded, encouraged by what he probably thought was me backing down. "She deserves better than being married to some air conditioning repair guy who can't even take her to nice restaurants." "Wrong move, Derek." "You know what, Derek? You're absolutely right. Linda does deserve better. She deserves better than a lying, cheating boss who's stupid enough to get caught with ghost pepper sauce on his privates." I turned to Linda. And you deserve better than a married boyfriend who just threw me under the bus to save his own reputation. Linda looked confused. What do you mean? I mean, Derek here just told the entire neighborhood that our marriage has been failing for months, that you've been complaining about me to him, and that you think you're too good for your current life. I smiled at her. Which, by the way, includes the house I pay for, the car you drive, and the credit cards you use for your shopping sprees. Derek realized his mistake too late. Now wait, Tom, I didn't mean... Oh, you meant it, I said. You meant every word. Just like you meant to seduce a married woman. Just like you meant to use my wife's car for your romantic encounters. And just like you meant to disrespect me in front of my neighbors. I walked back toward my front door, then turned around for my closing statement. Here's what's going to happen. Linda, you can choose. You can come inside, apologize for this humiliation, and we can figure out how to fix our marriage. Or you can go with Derek here, find somewhere else to wash off that ghost pepper, and figure out your own living situation. Linda looked between me and Derek, her carefully constructed world crumbling in real time. And Derek, I continued, you can explain to your wife why you're standing in my driveway at 10 o'clock at night, covered in hot sauce, after having an intimate encounter with my wife's personal property. Derek's face went from red to pale in record time. My wife? Oh, did I forget to mention? Your wife called looking for you about an hour ago. Said you weren't answering your phone and she was worried. I told her you were at a conference with Linda. She seemed very interested in the details. That's when Derek ran. Not walked quickly, not excused himself politely. He actually ran down my driveway, still clutching himself, leaving Linda standing alone in front of our house with half the neighborhood watching. Tom, please, Linda said, tears starting to flow. Can we please go inside and talk about this? I looked at her for a long moment. My wife of 12 years, standing in our driveway, her expensive dress ruined, her affair exposed, her lover fled, begging me to let her back into the house she'd been using as a base of operations for betraying me. Linda, I said finally, I think you've done enough talking for one night. And I went inside, locking the door behind me. I woke up the next morning to 17 missed calls and 43 text messages. Linda had apparently spent the night at her sister's house, and based on the increasingly frantic tone of her messages, Derek wasn't returning her calls either. The first text, sent at 11:47 p.m. Tom, please call me. We need to discuss this like reasonable people. The 17th text, sent at 4:23 a.m. You humiliated me in front of the entire neighborhood. I can't believe you would be so cruel. Cruel. That was rich, coming from someone who'd been having an affair for months. I made coffee and sat on my back porch, enjoying the peace and quiet. For the first time in months, I didn't have to listen to Linda complaining about my job, my clothes, my friends, or my general failure to live up to her standards. It was nice. My phone buzzed with another text. I'm coming over to get my things. I texted back, your things are still here. So is the house key. So is your car. We need to talk. We talked plenty last night, in front of half the neighborhood. That wasn't talking. That was you publicly humiliating me. I stared at that message for a long time, trying to figure out if she was serious. Then I typed back, Linda, you humiliated yourself. I just provided the seasoning. My phone rang immediately. Tom, that's not funny. I wasn't trying to be funny, I said. I was trying to be accurate. You can't just destroy my reputation like that. Your reputation. Linda, what reputation? The one where you're a faithful wife? That ship sailed when you brought Derek's toy home in our car. She was crying now. Tom, please. I made a mistake. Derek and it wasn't supposed to happen like this. How was it supposed to happen? Were you planning some grand announcement? Maybe a slideshow presentation? Don't be sarcastic. Why not? Sarcasm is about the only honest communication we've had in months. There was a long pause. Tom, I love you. I know I screwed up, but I love you. Funny way of showing it. Derek doesn't mean anything to me. It was just exciting, you know? Something different. Different than what? Than being married to someone who works for a living? Than being married to someone who pays your credit card bills? That's not what I meant. Then what did you mean, Linda? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you got bored with being a middle-class wife and decided to upgrade to your boss while keeping me around to pay for everything. Another long pause. It wasn't like that. Then explain it to me. Explain how having an affair with your boss, using adult toys in our family car, and lying to me for months was anything other than exactly like that. I can't come home, can I? The question surprised me, not because she asked it, but because of how I felt when she did. 3 days ago, if Linda had asked if she could come home, I would have said yes immediately. I would have apologized for whatever I'd done wrong, promised to be a better husband, and begged her to give our marriage another chance. Now I felt relieved. Linda, you can come get your things anytime. The house key works. The garage door opener is still in your car. But if you're asking if you can come back and pretend none of this happened, then no, you can't. Tom, I have to go to work, I said, and hung up. The job that day was a simple repair at a restaurant downtown, but I couldn't focus. Every time I tried to diagnose the faulty compressor, my mind wandered back to the look on Derek's face when he realized his wife might find out about his conference activities. Around noon, my phone started buzzing with calls from numbers I didn't recognize. Local numbers, all going straight to voicemail when I didn't answer. During my lunch break, I finally listened to them. Hi, this is Jennifer from Channel 7 News. We heard about an incident in your neighborhood last night, and we'd like to get your comment. Tom, this is Dave Henderson from down the street. My wife wants to know if you're okay, and if there's anything we can do to help. Mr. Tom, this is Mrs. Patterson from next door. I just wanted you to know that Linda came by this morning looking for you, and I told her you'd already left for work. She seemed very upset. The last message was from someone I didn't expect, Derek's wife. Tom, this is Patricia Williams. I think we need to talk. I called her back immediately. Patricia, this is Tom. You left a message? Yes. Her voice was calm, controlled. I think my husband has been having an affair with your wife. I think you're right. Can we meet somewhere? I'd like to discuss this situation. We agreed to meet at a coffee shop near downtown, somewhere neutral where we could talk without running into Linda or Derek. Patricia Williams was not what I expected. She was tall, elegant, probably in her early 40s, with the kind of confidence that comes from success. She was sitting at a corner table when I arrived, 2 coffee cups already waiting. Tom? She asked, standing to shake my hand. That's me. Thanks for the coffee. Thank you for agreeing to meet with me. She sat back down, studying my face. Derek came home very late last night. He said he'd been at a work conference, but he was disheveled. And he smelled like hot sauce. Ghost pepper sauce, actually. She almost smiled. I thought it might be something like that. Derek hates spicy food. We sat in silence for a moment, 2 betrayed spouses trying to figure out how to have this conversation. How long have you known? She asked. Officially? Since yesterday. Unofficially? I've been suspicious for about 2 months. The credit card charges, the late nights, the way Linda started talking about Derek constantly. Derek's been working late 3 nights a week for the past 4 months, Patricia said. Always the same excuse. Always with Linda. I called his office a few times to bring him dinner, and they told me he'd already left. They weren't very good at covering their tracks. No, they weren't. She took a sip of her coffee. Tom, I want you to know that I had no idea about any of this. If I had known Derek was pursuing a married woman, I would have stopped it immediately. I believe you. Derek is ambitious. He's always been focused on his career, on moving up in the company. I think Linda represented something exciting to him, something different from his normal corporate world. And I represented something boring to Linda, something ordinary she wanted to escape from. Patricia looked at me for a long moment. Tom, what you did last night? With the hot sauce? That was brilliant. I laughed despite myself. It seemed like the appropriate response at the time. Derek is humiliated. Completely humiliated. He's been trying to figure out how to explain what happened to his colleagues, to his boss. The story is already spreading through their office. Good. I filed for divorce this morning. The words hit me harder than I expected. Already? Tom, this isn't Derek's first affair. It's just the first one I've caught him at. And it's definitely the first one that ended with him getting caught with ghost pepper oil on his private parts. She was smiling now, actually smiling. I wanted to thank you, she continued. For 6 months, I've been questioning my sanity, wondering if I was imagining things, if I was being paranoid. Last night, you gave me all the proof I needed. Patricia, I'm sorry you had to go through that. Don't be sorry. Be proud. What you did took intelligence and restraint. Most men would have confronted them directly, maybe gotten into a fight, definitely made things messier. You found a way to expose them that was creative. Creative. That's one way to put it. Tom, I have a proposition for you. That got my attention. What kind of proposition? Derek makes a lot of money. A lot of money. Money that he's been spending on hotel rooms, expensive dinners, gifts for Linda. Money that should have been going toward our marriage, our future. Okay. I'm going to make sure Derek pays for his mistakes. Financially, professionally, socially. And I think you should do the same with Linda. I'm not sure I follow. Patricia leaned forward. Tom, your wife has been living off your income while having an affair with my husband. She's been using your money to fund her betrayal of your marriage. That's not just infidelity, that's theft. I hadn't thought about it that way. The hotel charges, the lingerie, the dinners out, all of that was charged to credit cards that you pay for, right? Right. She's been stealing from you to pay for her affair, and Derek's been helping her do it. So what are you suggesting? I'm suggesting we make sure they both face consequences for their actions. Real consequences, not just embarrassment. What kind of consequences? Patricia smiled, and for the first time since this whole mess started, I felt like I had an ally. Leave that to me. I have some ideas. Patricia's ideas, as it turned out, were both devious and completely legal. We met again 2 days later, this time at her law office. Patricia wasn't just Derek's wife. She was a successful attorney who specialized in corporate law. She'd spent the last 48 hours researching options, and she had a plan. Derek's affair with Linda isn't just a personal betrayal, she explained, spreading documents across her conference table. It's a violation of company policy. Derek is Linda's direct supervisor. Their relationship creates a hostile work environment, potential intimate harassment issues, and conflicts of interest. So Derek could get fired? Derek will get fired. I've already contacted their HR department and provided them with evidence of the relationship. The ghost pepper incident, by the way, has been corroborated by several witnesses. I laughed. Mrs. Patterson? Mrs. Patterson, the Johnsons, the Hendersons, and 3 other neighbors who were willing to provide written statements about what they witnessed in your driveway. Written statements? Tom, what Derek did was a public spectacle. He exposed himself and his affair in front of multiple witnesses. That's not just adultery. In some contexts, that's public indecency. The scope of what Patricia was planning started to sink in. What about Linda? Linda is in a more complicated position. She's not Derek's supervisor, so she can't be accused of abusing power. But she can be terminated for violating the company's ethics policy. They'll both lose their jobs? They'll both lose their jobs, their reputations, and their ability to work in their industry. Corporate executives don't hire people who've been terminated for having affairs that result in public scandals. I stared at the documents she'd prepared. Financial statements, credit card records, hotel receipts, witness statements. Patricia had built a case like she was preparing for trial. This seems like a lot of effort for revenge, I said. Tom, this isn't revenge. This is justice. Derek and Linda made choices that hurt us, humiliated us, and cost us money. They should face consequences for those choices. What kind of consequences are we talking about? Specifically? Patricia pulled out a calculator. Derek's salary last year was $180,000. Linda made $95,000. Together, they spent approximately $15,000 on hotel rooms, dinners, gifts, and other affair-related expenses. Money that Derek should have been contributing to our household, and money that Linda was stealing from yours. $15,000? That's just what I could document. The actual amount is probably higher. I thought about my own financial situation, the overtime I'd been working to pay for Linda's shopping trips, the credit card bills I'd been struggling to cover, the vacation we'd had to cancel because money was tight. So what's the plan? Phase 1. Derek and Linda both lose their jobs. That happens Monday morning. Phase 1? Phase 2. I file for divorce and go after Derek for everything he's worth. Adultery isn't grounds for increased alimony in our state, but financial misconduct is. Derek spent marital assets on his affair, which gives me leverage. And Linda? Phase 2 for Linda depends on what you want to do. You could file for divorce and go after her for the money she stole. You could pursue criminal charges for credit card fraud. Or ... quote? Or? Patricia smiled. Or you could make her face the social consequences of her actions. Let her friends, her family, her entire social circle know exactly what she's been doing. How? Leave that to me. Over the weekend, Patricia's plan went into motion. Derek received a call from HR on Sunday evening, requesting a meeting first thing Monday morning. Linda received a similar call an hour later. I spent Sunday at work, fixing air conditioners and trying not to think about what was happening. But around 6 p.m., my phone started buzzing. Tom, please call me back. Something's wrong at work. They want to see me tomorrow morning. Tom, I think someone reported Derek and me to HR. I don't know what to do. Tom, please. I need to talk to you. This is serious. I didn't call back. Monday morning, I was replacing a compressor at a medical office when my phone rang. Patricia. It's done, she said. Derek was terminated at 9 a.m. Linda was terminated at 10:15. Both of them? Both of them. Derek was escorted out by security. Linda was given 30 minutes to clean out her desk. What were the official reasons? Violation of company ethics policy, inappropriate workplace relationship, and conduct unbecoming of corporate executives. The ghost pepper incident was mentioned specifically in Derek's termination letter. I almost felt bad for them. Almost. Phase 2 starts now, Patricia continued. Derek's going to come home tonight and tell me he lost his job. I'm going to be very sympathetic, very supportive. I'm going to suggest we work together to figure out our next steps. And then I'm going to serve him with divorce papers and a lawsuit for financial misconduct. He'll be broke, unemployed, and publicly humiliated, all in the same week. What about Linda? Linda is going to need somewhere to stay. Her sister's house, her parents' house. Maybe she'll try to come back to you. She's going to be desperate, emotional, probably willing to do anything to fix her situation. So that's when you give her a choice. Patricia explained the rest of her plan, and I had to admit, it was brilliant. Cruel, but brilliant. By Monday afternoon, Linda was calling me every 30 minutes. Tom, I lost my job. They fired me because of what happened with Derek. Tom, please call me back. I don't have anywhere to go. Tom, I know I messed up, but I need you right now. Please. I waited until evening to call her back. Linda? Tom, thank God. Listen, I need to come home. I lost my job today. Derek lost his job. Everything is falling apart. I heard about the job situation. You heard? How did you hear? Linda, the story of Derek's wife filing for divorce because he got caught with ghost pepper oil on his private parts is making the rounds pretty quickly. Silence. People are talking about this. People are talking about this. More silence. Tom, I need to come home. I don't have anywhere else to go. Where's Derek? Can't you stay with him? Derek's wife is divorcing him. He's staying at his brother's house, and he said we need to take a break until things settle down. He broke up with you? He didn't break up with me. He just said we need to be practical right now. Practical, right. Tom, please. I know I hurt you. I know I messed up our marriage, but I need somewhere to stay while I figure out my next move. I took a deep breath. This was it. This was the moment Patricia had prepared me for. Linda, you can come home under one condition. Anything. I'll do anything. You're going to tell everyone the truth. What do you mean? I mean, you're going to call your parents, your sister, your friends, everyone in your social circle, and you're going to tell them exactly why you lost your job. You're going to tell them about Derek, about the affair, about the ghost pepper incident. Tom, I can't do that. I can't humiliate myself like that. Then you can't come home. That's not fair. Fair? I laughed. Linda, you had an affair for months. You stole money from our joint accounts to fund it, and you got caught with another man's toy in our family car. But me asking you to be honest about your actions isn't fair. Tom, please. Those are the terms, Linda. You tell everyone the truth, publicly and completely, or you find somewhere else to live. And if I do that, if I humiliate myself by telling everyone what happened, then we can talk about whether our marriage is worth saving. She hung up. 10 minutes later, she called back. Fine, I'll do it. But I want to come home tonight. The truth-telling comes first, Linda. All of it. Then we talk. How will you know if I actually tell people? I smiled, thinking about Patricia's plan. Trust me, I'll know. Linda started making her confession calls that night. I know because my phone started ringing 20 minutes after she hung up. Tom, this is Linda's mother. She just called and told me the most ridiculous story about losing her job and having some kind of incident with her boss. Is this true? Which part, Mrs. Roberts? The part about her having an affair with her supervisor and getting caught doing inappropriate things in your driveway. That part's true. Silence. Then, Thomas, what exactly happened in your driveway? I gave her the short version. Linda's affair with Derek, the discovery of the toy in her car, the ghost pepper seasoning, and the public spectacle that followed. You put hot sauce on their intimate items? Ghost pepper oil, actually. Another long silence. Thomas, I don't know whether to be appalled or impressed. I was going for impressed. Linda said you're making her tell everyone about this before you'll let her come home. That's correct. Good, Mrs. Roberts said firmly. It's about time Linda faced consequences for her actions. That girl has been spoiled her entire life, and apparently marriage didn't cure her of thinking she can do whatever she wants without repercussions. That wasn't the reaction I expected. You're not angry with me? Angry with you? Thomas, you've been working 2 jobs to support Linda's shopping habits while she's been running around with her boss. I'm angry with her. The calls continued all evening. Linda's sister, her college roommate, 3 of her coworkers, and 2 of her friends from the gym. Each call followed the same pattern. Shock, disbelief, requests for details, and then either sympathy for me or criticism of Linda. Nobody defended her. Around 10 p.m., Patricia called. How's it going on your end? She asked. Linda's been making her confession calls. So far, no one seems to think she's the victim in this situation. Good. Derek tried to come home tonight. Tried? I had the locks changed. His belongings are on the front lawn. All of them? All of them. Including his golf clubs, his expensive suits, and his collection of business books. Everything's in trash bags. I could hear the satisfaction in her voice. He's been calling and texting, begging me to let him explain. He wants to work through this like adults. What did you tell him? I told him adults don't have affairs that end with ghost pepper oil incidents in other people's driveways. Fair point. Tom, there's something else. Derek's been trying to contact Linda. To get back together? To blame her for their situation. According to the text messages Linda's been showing people, Derek thinks she should have been more discreet. He's angry that she brought the toy home instead of leaving it at the hotel. Classy. It gets better. Derek also thinks you violated his privacy by seasoning the toy. He's considering pressing charges against you for, and I quote, assault with a condiment. I burst out laughing. Assault with a condiment? That's what he said. His brother talked him out of it by pointing out that he'd have to explain to the police exactly why his private parts came into contact with ghost pepper oil. I love Derek's brother. Everyone loves Derek's brother right now. We hung up, and I, for store, settled in for the night. Linda was staying at her sister's house, making her confession calls and probably trying to figure out how to spin this situation to her advantage. She called me at midnight. Tom, I've called everyone. I told them about Derek, about the affair, about what happened in our driveway. I did what you asked. All of them? All of them. My parents, my sister, my friends from work, everyone. They all know. And they think I'm an idiot. Her voice was thick with tears. My own mother told me I got what I deserved. My sister said she's embarrassed to be related to me. Even my friend Jessica, who's been divorced twice, said what I did was unforgivable. I'm sorry you're hurt, Linda. Are you? Because you sound like you're enjoying this. I thought about that. I'm not enjoying your pain, Linda, but I am enjoying the fact that you're finally facing consequences for your actions. So can I come home now? I did what you asked. We can talk about it tomorrow. Come by after I get home from work. Tom, please. I have nowhere else to go. You have your sister's house. She doesn't want me there anymore. She says I'm a bad influence on her kids. What about your parents? They offered to let me stay, but only if I agree to see a therapist and apologize to you publicly. Publicly? They want me to put an apology in the local newspaper, a full-page ad apologizing for my behavior and thanking you for being patient with me. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. What did you tell them? I told them I'd think about it. Linda, come by tomorrow evening. We'll talk then. I hung up and tried to sleep, but my mind kept racing. For months, I'd been the villain in Linda's story, the boring husband who didn't appreciate her, who held her back, who couldn't give her the exciting life she deserved. Now suddenly I was the victim, the wronged husband who'd been betrayed and humiliated, the man who'd found a creative way to expose his wife's affair without resorting to violence or illegal behavior. It was a strange feeling, being seen as the good guy. The next morning brought more phone calls, but these were different. Supportive calls from neighbors, friends, even a few customers who'd heard the story. Tom, this is Bill Henderson from across the street. I just wanted you to know that if you need anything, help moving Linda's stuff, someone to talk to, whatever, just let me know. Tom, this is your customer, Mrs. Garcia. I heard about what happened with your wife, and I wanted to tell you that what you did was brilliant. You handled that situation with more class than most men would have. Tom, this is Jerry from the supply house. The whole story about the ghost pepper oil is making the rounds. You're kind of a legend right now. A legend. That was new. Around noon, Patricia called with an update. Derek's trying to get another job, she said. He's been calling his contacts in the industry, trying to explain what happened. Any luck? No one will hire him. The story about the ghost pepper incident has spread through the entire corporate community. Everyone knows about it. What's he going to do? He's talking about moving to another state, starting over somewhere fresh. He wants me to go with him. Will you? Tom, I'm taking Derek for everything he's worth. His salary, his pension, his stock options, even his car. When I'm done with him, he won't have enough money to move to another state. That seems harsh. Derek spent 6 years of our marriage having affairs. This isn't about one relationship with Linda. This is about a pattern of behavior. He's never faced consequences before, so he kept doing it. Now he's going to face all the consequences at once. That evening, Linda came to the house. She looked terrible. Her hair was unwashed, her clothes were wrinkled, and she had dark circles under her eyes. Tom, thank you for agreeing to see me. Come inside. We need to talk. We sat in our living room, the same room where we'd watched TV together for 12 years, where we'd had countless conversations about work, money, plans for the future. Now it felt like we were strangers meeting for the first time. I know you're angry, Linda began. I know I hurt you, and I know what I did was wrong. Do you? Do you really understand what you did? I had an affair. I cheated on you with Derek. That's what you did, Linda. But do you understand what you did? She looked confused. I don't understand the difference. The difference is this. You didn't just have an affair. You used our joint accounts to pay for hotel rooms with another man. You brought his personal items into our home. You lied to me for months while I worked overtime to pay for credit card bills that you were running up with your lover. I never thought about it like that. You never thought about it at all. You made decisions that hurt me, humiliated me, and cost me money, and you never considered how those decisions would affect anyone but yourself. You're right. I was selfish. Linda, selfish is eating the last piece of cake without asking. What you did was calculated betrayal. She started crying. Tom, I know I messed up. I know I hurt you, but I love you and I want to save our marriage. Why? The question surprised her. What do you mean, why? Why do you want to save our marriage? Is it because you love me, or because Derek dumped you and you don't have anywhere else to go? I do love you. When? When did you love me? When you were lying about working late? When you were charging lingerie to our credit card for another man? When you were mocking me to your friends? I never mocked you to my friends. Linda, 3 of your friends called me yesterday. They told me about the conversations you had with them, about your boring husband who couldn't satisfy you, who didn't have any ambition, who was holding you back from the life you deserved. Her face went white. They told you that? They told me that. They also told me that they warned you not to have an affair, that you ignored their advice, and that you bragged about how easy it was to fool me. Tom, I was I was just complaining. All wives complain about their husbands sometimes. All wives don't have affairs with their bosses. What do you want from me? I've told everyone the truth. I've humiliated myself completely. I've lost my job, my reputation, my friends. What else do you want? I looked at her for a long moment. This woman I'd been married to for 12 years. This woman who'd shared my bed and my life and my dreams for the future. I want you to move out. Permanently. I said. What? I want you to find your own apartment, get your own job, build your own life. I want you to figure out who you are when you're not being supported by someone else. Tom, please. We can work through this. We can go to counseling. Linda, there's nothing to work through. You made your choice when you started the affair. You made your choice when you brought Derek's toy home. You made your choice every time you lied to me for months. So that's it? 12 years of marriage and you're just throwing it away? I'm not throwing anything away, Linda. You already did that. She stood up, her face cycling through emotions. Sadness, anger, desperation, and finally something that looked like recognition. You planned this, she said. The ghost pepper thing, making me tell everyone, all of it. You planned this whole thing. I planned to catch you in your affair, yes. You wanted to humiliate me. I wanted you to face consequences for your actions. You wanted revenge. I wanted justice. What's the difference? The difference, Linda, is that revenge would have been me having my own affair, or destroying your things, or doing something equally hurtful to you. Justice is making sure you face appropriate consequences for the choices you made. Appropriate consequences? Tom, I've lost everything. My job, my reputation, my marriage, my friends. How is that appropriate? You lost your job because you violated company policy. You lost your reputation because you made choices that damaged it. You lost your marriage because you cheated. And you lost your friends because they're decent people who don't approve of adultery. And what did you lose? I lost a wife who didn't respect me, didn't love me enough to be faithful to me, and was using me to fund her affair. Honestly, Linda, I think I came out ahead. She stared at me for a long moment, then grabbed her purse. Fine. You want me gone? I'm gone. But don't expect me to thank you for destroying my life. I didn't destroy your life, Linda. I just stopped pretending that your choices didn't have consequences. She walked toward the door, then turned back. Derek was right about you, you know. You are boring. You are ordinary. You are exactly the kind of man who would put hot sauce on someone's personal items instead of confronting them like an adult. You're right, I said. I am boring and ordinary. But I'm also faithful, honest, and I pay my bills. Apparently those qualities are more valuable than I thought. Good luck finding someone who appreciates your ordinary life, she said, and slammed the door. I sat in my living room for a long time after she left, listening to the silence. For the first time in months, the house felt peaceful. My phone buzzed with a text from Patricia. How did it go? I texted back. She's gone. Good. Derek came by tonight to beg me to take him back. I told him I'd rather marry the ghost pepper oil. I laughed out loud, alone in my living room, and realized that for the first time in years, I was genuinely happy. 2 weeks later, I thought it was over. Linda had found an apartment across town. Derek had moved in with his brother permanently, and life was settling into a new normal. I was working normal hours for the first time in months, coming home to a peaceful house, and actually enjoying my evenings. Then, Derek showed up at my workplace. I was replacing a condenser unit behind a restaurant when I heard footsteps on the gravel. I looked up to see Derek walking toward me, dressed in jeans and a wrinkled t-shirt. He looked like he'd lost 20 pounds and hadn't slept in weeks. Tom, we need to talk. I kept working. Nothing to talk about, Derek. Yes, there is. You destroyed my life. I think you destroyed your own life when you decided to have an affair with my wife. That's not how it happened. I stood up and looked at him. Up close, Derek looked even worse. His face was pale, his hair was unwashed, and his hands were shaking. How did it happen, Derek? Linda seduced me. She came on to me at work. She bought the items. She suggested using your car. I was weak. So this is Linda's fault? It's both of your faults. Hers for seducing me, and yours for that psychotic stunt with the hot sauce. I laughed. Derek, you're 38 years old. You're a corporate executive. You made the choice to have an affair with a married woman. Own it. I can't get a job anywhere. Everyone in the industry knows about the ghost pepper incident. My career is over. Good. Good? His voice cracked. Tom, I have a mortgage, car payments, responsibilities. I can't just start over. You should have thought about that before you started sleeping with my wife. It wasn't supposed to go this far. It was just supposed to be fun. Fun. I shook my head. Derek, you destroyed 2 marriages for fun. I made a mistake. You made hundreds of mistakes. Every hotel reservation, every lie to your wife, every time you used our car for your encounters. Those weren't accidents, Derek. Those were choices. He was getting agitated, pacing back and forth behind the restaurant. You think you're so smart, don't you? You think you won. I think I survived. There's a difference. Linda's miserable, you know. She's working at a retail store, living in a studio apartment, crying every night. And she still loves you. She wants to come home. She had a home. She chose to risk it for an affair with you. Tom, please, just call off your lawyer friend. Tell Patricia to stop coming after me in court. Patricia isn't my lawyer friend, Derek. She's your ex-wife. And she's not coming after you because I asked her to. She's coming after you because you spent 6 years cheating on her. 6 years? It wasn't 6 years. According to Patricia, it was. Linda wasn't your first affair, Derek. She was just your most embarrassing one. Derek stopped pacing. What did Patricia tell you? She told me about the secretary in 2018, the client in 2019, the consultant in 2021. She told me about the credit card charges, the unexplained business trips, the lies about working late. She knew? She suspected, but she didn't have proof until you got caught with ghost pepper oil on your privates in my driveway. Derek sat down heavily on a concrete barrier, holding his head in his hands. My life is over. Your old life is over. The life where you could cheat on your wife, lie to your friends, and use other people without consequences. That life is definitely over. You don't understand. I'm broke. Patricia's taking everything. I can't afford my apartment, my car payments, anything. Derek, I work for a living. I pay my own bills, fix my own problems, and handle my own responsibilities. You can learn to do the same thing. I'm not like you. What does that mean? I can't just accept a simple life. I need more than that. I need success, recognition, status. You need to grow up. Derek stood up, his face red with anger. You think you're better than me? I think I'm more honest than you. Honest? You sabotaged us with hot sauce. You humiliated us in public. You destroyed our careers. How is that honest? Derek, I found evidence of your affair and I responded to it. Everything that happened after that was a direct result of choices you and Linda made. You could have confronted us privately. You could have handled this like a mature adult. You could have not had an affair with my wife. Derek was breathing hard now, his hands clenched into fists. I should have kicked your ass months ago. But you didn't, because you thought I was too boring and ordinary to be a threat. You are boring and ordinary. And yet here you are, unemployed and divorced, asking me to fix your problems. That's when Derek snapped. He lunged at me, swinging wildly. I stepped back, but he caught me with a glancing blow to the shoulder. I stumbled, dropped my tools, and for a moment we were both off balance. Then Derek grabbed my shirt and tried to push me against the building. He was bigger than me, but he was also out of shape and desperate. I twisted away from him and he stumbled forward. Derek, stop! This isn't going to help anything. Shut up! He swung again, this time aiming for my face. I ducked and he hit the brick wall behind me, hard enough to split his knuckles. You destroyed everything, he screamed, clutching his bleeding hand. My marriage, my job, my future, everything. You destroyed everything, I said, breathing hard. I just made sure there were consequences. Derek looked at his bleeding hand, then at me, and I could see something break inside him. I hate you, he said quietly. I hate you so much. I know. You think you won, but you didn't. You lost your wife. Derek, I lost a wife who was cheating on me with you. That's not losing. That's taking out the trash. He tried to hit me again, but this time I was ready. I caught his arm and twisted it behind his back, pushing him face first against the wall. Derek, we're done here. You're going to walk away, and you're never going to contact me again. Let me go. Are we done? Let me go. I released him and stepped back. Derek turned around, his face bloody from where it hit the brick wall, his hand still bleeding from punching the wall. This isn't over, he said. Yes, it is. Derek looked at me for a long moment, then walked away without another word. I finished my repair job and drove home, my shoulder aching from where Derek had hit me. But as I pulled into my driveway, I realized something. I wasn't angry. I wasn't scared. I wasn't even particularly upset. I was relieved. For months, Derek had been this larger-than-life figure in my mind, the successful executive who'd stolen my wife, the smooth-talking man who represented everything I wasn't. But seeing him desperate, unemployed, and reduced to throwing punches behind a restaurant, I realized he was just another person who'd made bad choices and was facing the consequences. That night, Patricia called. Derek violated his restraining order today, she said. He what? I have a restraining order against him. He's not allowed to contact me directly, but he showed up at my office this afternoon, begging me to drop the divorce proceedings. What did you do? I called the police. He was arrested for violating the restraining order. Is he in jail? He's in jail. And Tom, there's something else. Derek told the police that you assaulted him earlier today. He attacked me at my job site. I defended myself. I know. The restaurant manager saw the whole thing and gave a statement to the police. Derek's being charged with assault. You're not in any trouble. Good. Tom, I think Derek's having some kind of breakdown. His brother called me tonight and said Derek's been talking about getting revenge against both of us. What kind of revenge? He's been talking about exposing our conspiracy to destroy him. He thinks we planned this whole thing together from the beginning. Did we? Patricia laughed. Tom, we met for the first time after Derek got caught with ghost pepper oil on his privates. Unless you think we're both psychic, we didn't plan anything. So what happens now? Now Derek sits in jail overnight, gets released tomorrow morning, and hopefully learns that actions have consequences. And Linda? What about Linda? Derek said she's miserable. Working retail, living in a studio apartment. Tom, are you feeling guilty about Linda's situation? Maybe a little. Don't. Linda made her choices just like Derek made his. She's facing the natural consequences of those choices. I know. It's just 12 years of marriage. It's hard to watch it end like this. Tom, your marriage ended when Linda decided to have an affair. Everything that happened after that was just making it official. After we hung up, I sat on my back porch with a beer, thinking about the last few weeks. Derek in jail, Linda working retail, Patricia taking Derek for everything he was worth. It seemed like a lot of destruction for one act of revenge. But then I remembered the months of being lied to, the credit card bills for hotel rooms I'd never seen, the humiliation of being married to a woman who was mocking me to her friends while sleeping with her boss. Maybe the destruction wasn't excessive. Maybe it was exactly what should have happened all along. The next morning I got a call from Linda. Tom, Derek's in jail. I heard. He attacked you yesterday? He tried to. Tom, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry about all of this. Linda, why are you calling me? Because I wanted you to know that I never asked Derek to confront you. I never wanted any of this to get violent. Okay. And I wanted you to know that I'm getting help. I'm seeing a therapist, trying to figure out why I made such terrible decisions. That's good, Linda. I hope it helps. Tom, do you think someday we might be able to be friends? I thought about that question for a long time. Linda, I don't hate you, but I don't think we can be friends. Too much has happened. I understand. I hope you figure things out. I hope you build a good life for yourself. Thank you. And Linda, yes? Don't call me again unless it's an emergency. We need to move on with our separate lives. I understand. She hung up, and I realized that was probably the last conversation Linda and I would ever have as husband and wife. 3 days later, I got the divorce papers in the mail. 6 months after the ghost pepper incident, I was replacing an air conditioning unit at a new office building when I ran into someone I recognized. It was Jessica, one of Linda's former friends from the gym. Tom? Tom Morrison? Hey, Jessica. I heard about the divorce. I'm sorry, I'm not. It was the right thing for both of us. How are you doing? I'm doing well. Really well, actually. Good. I'm glad to hear that. We talked for a few minutes about work, the weather, normal small talk. Then Jessica asked the question I'd been expecting. Have you heard anything about Linda? Not much, just that she's working and living on her own. She's actually doing better. She got promoted to assistant manager at the store where she works. She's taking classes at the community college. That's good. I'm glad she's getting her life together. Tom, can I ask you something? What you did with the hot sauce, was that planned? Or did you just react in the moment? I smiled. Jessica, I found evidence that my wife was cheating on me, and I responded appropriately. Appropriately? You seasoned their adult toy with ghost pepper oil. I seasoned their adult toy with ghost pepper oil, I agreed, and they learned that actions have consequences. Jessica laughed. Tom, you're kind of a legend around town, you know that? So I've heard. Women talk about you, about how you handled the situation with class and creativity, instead of violence or drama. I just did what felt right at the time. Well, whatever you did, it worked. Derek's completely disappeared from the area. Linda's learning to take care of herself. And you seem happier than you've been in years. I am happier. Any chance you'd be interested in meeting my sister? She's recently divorced, too, and she has a great appreciation for men who handle difficult situations with intelligence instead of aggression. I thought about that. For the first time in months, the idea of dating someone new didn't seem terrifying. Maybe, I said, but let's start slow. Coffee, maybe a movie. Nothing involving ghost peppers. Jessica laughed. Deal. As I drove home that evening, I realized something had changed. For the first time since I'd found that toy in Linda's car, I wasn't thinking about the past. I wasn't angry about the affair, or hurt about the betrayal, or bitter about the lies. I was thinking about the future. I was thinking about the possibility of meeting Jessica's sister, about maybe building something new with someone who would appreciate honesty and loyalty and the simple pleasure of coming home to someone who was actually happy to see you. I was thinking about the overtime I no longer had to work, the credit card bills I no longer had to pay for someone else's shopping sprees, the freedom of making decisions without worrying about whether they would meet someone else's standards. Most of all, I was thinking about how sometimes the best revenge isn't getting even with someone who hurt you. Sometimes the best revenge is building a better life than the one they tried to destroy. I pulled into my driveway, grabbed my tools from the truck, and walked into my house. My house, where I could watch whatever I wanted on TV, eat whatever I felt like for dinner, and go to bed knowing that the person sleeping next to me wasn't planning to betray me in the morning. It was a good feeling. As I settled into my favorite chair with a cold beer and the remote control, I thought about Derek sitting in whatever cheap apartment he could afford on unemployment benefits, and Linda working retail while taking night classes to rebuild her career. I thought about Patricia, who'd successfully divorced Derek and taken him for everything he was worth, and who'd called me last week to tell me she was dating her personal trainer. I thought about all the people who'd supported me through this mess, all the neighbors and friends and customers who'd reached out to tell me they respected how I'd handled the situation. And I thought about the ghost pepper oil sitting in my kitchen cabinet, waiting for the next time someone decided to underestimate the boring, ordinary guy who just wanted to be treated with respect. I raised my beer in a toast to my empty house. Here's to consequences, I said out loud, and here's to not being married to someone who thinks actions don't have them. Then I turned on the game, put my feet up, and enjoyed the peaceful silence of a house where no one was lying to anyone else. It was the best evening I'd had in years.